And this is Johnny Farias. I'm here with Community News. Today, I have the pleasure of having Nimmond Lockhart. He is a homestead a native, basically. He told me we were talking that he's been since he's been 2 years old. He's a veteran. He formerly had a newspaper called The Monitor out in Homestead. And basically, we're here today, which I want everybody to know now. We're going to talk about the situation that's going on right now, not in this country, but here in South Florida, in the Homestead area. It's a conversation that I've been wanting to have. So these are our personal opinions. I know, so here we go. Nimmond, give us a little about yourself. I know you're a veteran. What branch,
Well, you picked the hardest questions first, John. I tell you, talking about myself. By the way, it's good to be here. Nice to see you again. A little bit about myself. Raised here, right? Just being maybe 4 years old and seeing the things that I saw here in Homestead, right? Because I'm a boomer, right? And you can't stop that from being probably the fulcrum of this seesaw that we have right now, from the old days to the new generations to come. So we pretty much balanced all of this. And growing up there, I used to always look at these old men. Right? It always intrigued me to watch old people because there's something about them. Most of them come from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and they had this thing about them. And you always wanted to know, how did they get through all of that and managed to become old? And I just always says, man, I just hope I'm old one day. I'm not sure if I'm sure about that now at 70. So
yeah, I can see that.
So that was kind of, but what I learned from it taught me to watch television at the age of 4 years old because there was still segregation. Opposed to today, everything is pretty clean slate, so to speak. But as a kid, then politics was everything. You had to be in politics because you had to. It was a matter of survival being in politics.
But so, right now with the terms, and not to interrupt you, I mean, you can say that it's happening again right now because politics is about everything. I mean, you can't go anywhere, even to the grocery store or pump gas without somebody mentioning something about politics. Mm-hmm. The flags are people flying in their cars, so I think it's about the same thing, no?
Well, nothing has changed. I mean, it's been that way since, I hate to say it, the existence of this country. I think a lot of people are naive about where we live and not want to accept what America really is. And I think that's the problem that we're having today because we never dealt with it then. And I remember my first elementary school, I remember her name was Miss Queen. I'll never forget her. But that was in segregation. I couldn't cross the street to the other side to play basketball, right? So with that in mind, and you're looking at today, it's just a different, it's the same, but it wears a disguise. This time wears a disguise prior to what it was before. And
what's the disguise?
Well, God, you want me to go there?
Well, I mean, I would like to know. My listeners would want to know what's the disguise.
Well, the thing is we're in the same place we were in the '60s. Nothing has changed except for the design of how things are working today. It was pretty much that you were giving some rights, right, but never enough rights to put you to the next level unless you really fought for it. But that was the key, is fighting for it. As I told you earlier, I mean, I remember my stepdad used to always grab my hands, right, my wrists, hold on to me. And it wasn't to judge my strength, right? It was to judge my will. Right? How far was I willing to go? How long would I hold on before I says, okay, let me go, right? That was a determination that everyone had to make during that time. What were you going to do? How long were you going to last? Were you going to get suppressed and just go back into the house? Today, it is a different story. It wears a different suit. Then it was straight out. You knew what you're dealing with. You knew you couldn't go to that side of the street. You knew that, hey, if you were the wrong color, you couldn't go into that store. Today, you can do those things, but the way things are taking place, nothing has really changed. Today is just the media has more of control of it now. With social media, nothing has really changed. It's gotten worse. It's just magnified over the years.
Okay. To play devil's advocate, okay, you say that, things are the same, just a different disguise. But I've seen some, and a lot on social media, people will say, but things are better for blacks and for brown people. The workforce. Now you can go to school, you can go to college, you can do the same thing. You got the same benefits as a white person has. That's what people are going to say. Okay, especially now after what just happened with the Charlie Kirk thing. I've been watching a lot of those videos, and I hear that from a lot of people. What would you say to them? Because to a lot of people, that to them things have changed for the better.
Well, it depends on how high you want to raise that bar, right? And how low you want to keep that bar. I say that it's just a different disguise. Because if you think about it, I put it this way. The fastest man in the world, right? And you getting ready to run this with this guy in the 200 meters. You give him a, say, 50-meter head start. And when that gun go off, you're at the beginning, at the starting line. That gun go off. And he's the fastest man in the world. You're just the average person, and you're going to try to catch him. And every step you take and every step he takes, there's other obstacles thrown in the way. By the end of that race, do you really think you're going to catch up to him? Those obstacles are still there. And it's just a different disguise. You can never catch something of that nature that has that kind of power and is not willing to let it go unless there's going to be a struggle for it. And when I say struggle, as I mentioned before, there's never been a significant change anywhere in this country or throughout the Bible without bloodshed. And what we have in place today in politics, people are pushing it to that point. But as we're talking about generation change, they're willing to go that far in these current generations. We had to go that far, but that's how you ended up with civil rights. I understand the King version of the nonviolence, but he didn't die from nonviolence. He died from violence, right? So you can play that side of the game if you like, but it's the other side that really makes a difference. You're going to have to match step for step if you plan on moving forward.
Okay. You had a newspaper called The Monitor.
Yes.
Being what you see today, that in my opinion, you have them trying to silence the media and try to control it. From what it was back then to now, what do you see? What kind of change do you see, and how do you feel about that? Being that you're a person from of media.
Well, it depends. If you're going to be in the media, you have to have some backbone, and you can't be afraid to ask certain questions. Whether I understand that a lot of publishers, the owners, don't want you to go to that point, but I was a publisher of my own newspaper, so I can pretty much say what I wanted to. Pretty much got me in trouble a lot of times because, I didn't have a fantastic staff. It was a community newspaper, and I didn't build it just to have a newspaper just for the sake of news. I built it because it was the first community newspaper in the history of Florida City, and it was a Black owner. And I love history, and I wanted to leave a footprint. That's what that was. And when I saw wrong, I'm calling it out. I can't afford to go to court with you. They'd be sued by you, even though I know that I'm not wrong about something, but I'm still going to call you out. It just depends on what are you willing to take. Again, the wrist burns from my stepfather grabbing the wrist. How much are you willing to take? I don't see that today in the media. And you hear a lot of the time. I love Lawrence from MSNBC. because he calls it out. Even his own media, he calls out, especially the pool in the Capitol when they're doing the conferences. They're afraid to ask the right questions. So they just softball it along the way, and that's not going to get us anywhere.
Right. So what do you say about now the administration, kind of using their power to go to shut down some of these media outlets, trying to get rid of late night show hosts, even them complaining now, I think the last Saturday Night Live skit that they did, I don't know if you saw it. I think I had to see it because it was pretty funny. But even those things are bothering the administration now. But if you think about it, they've been doing it for years. It just now all of a sudden it's bothering.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that's what this country was established around. It's by design. You got to remember who you have in the White House. He grew up when I grew up. He grew up during the time of segregation, make America great again. And this is where we're trying to get back to that point. And we had to go through that. The media during that time was pretty hard, because we didn't have a problem with Nixon in the media. They went and did what they had to do. Today is difficult to do, because I just don't think the generations have the backbone to do it. As I told you earlier, a kid get a cut on their finger today, that sounds like you got to go to the emergency room. I mean, they can't handle the pressure. And when you're talking about someone that grew up in my era, he's seeing things that way. And if the younger generations can't pick up on that and establish that type of backbone, we're in big trouble, because this country is built around what he's trying to do. That strength is still there. It was just in the crevices, and they needed someone to come out and stand in front of it. And now it's there, and he's got the power now, being in the seat that he's in. So,
right. You're a veteran. Mm-hmm. What branch?
Air Force.
Air Force. Well, thank you for your service. I have a quick question about the military. I'm a Navy veteran. I went in 1987. Which during that time, I can tell you there wasn't many Hispanics when I went in. And I got stationed in San Diego, California, and we still didn't have that many Hispanics. How was it when you went in, and what do you think about what just happened when they called a meeting of all
Wasn't that a tragedy? Oh, my God.
So give me your opinion on that.
That was a tragedy. I remember working with Sears, right? And I was a manager with Sears. But I had been there maybe 5 years. But they wanted me to do these different spots of presentation. Headquarters was in Chicago, right? So I would go there to do these meetings for all of the managers that would come in from around the country. 20, 25 years, 15 years or so. And I am, maybe 5 years into the system, telling these guys what they need to do. And I'm going, that doesn't work. I think they should be telling me what to do. And to get up there and pretend like you know what you're talking about, and it was an insult, is what it was. It was basically an insult. And I hope the military does what it should do, follow the Constitution and not the one man. And I really do. I have trust that they will do that.
I agree with you, but now also if you go back, and again, I'm a veteran. We follow the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but that one man is the commanding officer. I mean, isn't that kind of like a conflict? If people would say, well, follow the Constitution, but then we have a commanding officer?
No, it's not, because your obligation is not to him. Your obligation is to the Constitution. When you raise your hand and take that vow, it is not to the president. It is to the Constitution. And that was written that way for a reason, because of what the president can do and the power that they have. And all they have to do is make a twist. And then this is what you end up with. And if you didn't have that in your Constitution, well, guess what? You would be a Russia. You would be Hungary. You would be Turkey.
I want to ask you a quick question about immigration, because I got here in 91. I was, so when I got here, it was a little different, but you that grew up in Homestead, do you see the difference now, especially with all the ICE roundup? how's Homestead looking right now? Is it empty to you? You think it hasn't phased Homestead at all? Give me your opinion on that.
Homestead is a ghost town. And it's going to bite everybody in the butt when it comes down to it. Just give it some time, it will. Farmers are already hurting, right, across this country, especially in Homestead. We need that work. Before, we didn't, because we had who to do that work, right? The same people that did that work 200 years ago. You have them now, that is a different thing. That the people you had 200 years ago are now getting the education that most people can get. And now you need someone else to fill that void. And now you're taking that away. I don't know how you're going to make this work. I say within 2 months. I don't say you're going to make it work, because now small businesses are closing. Prices are going up.
Well, have you seen the quality? Because you said you cook. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the quality of the produce at the supermarket? It's getting bad.
Yeah, it is bad. And it's not going to change until someone change it. And it's not going to, it's just going to be that way. And it's going to take a group to change it. And as I was mentioning to you before, I think is the 18th. And you have this No King protest across the country. It's going to take that kind of mass of people to change these things.
Can you explain to the viewers, because there's some viewers that might not know what the No King protest is, or No King period. Can you give us a quick explanation of what it's about?
Well, basically, it's a protest against the establishment that is trying to just reel the power of the people on them. What they're doing is taking control of the power that us as one, we the people, is supposed to have, and they're using it as one. And again, it's by that design, trying to get back to where it was. If that protest is not there, you had to do it in the 60s. It's just larger now. If that protest is not there, if that boycott is not there, if you're not hitting those corporations where you should be hitting them in the pocket, what do we turn to? So you have to have that form of a protest, and indivisible is doing a great job. How do you mass all of these people across this country? I looked at the map of where these protests are going to take place. It is totally saturated, bigger than it ever been before. And learning in the 60s, that's what changed things. There's no civil rights without it. There's no, if people wasn't able to take $1 from someone who was rich running the establishment, it doesn't change, because it's all about the money.
So if somebody wanted to look up these peaceful protests, mm-hmm. where would they go? Online? They just...
Well, you got me with that one. But yeah, it'll be online. And I think Indivisible has, they have a website. So, and I think anyone could start whatever they want to start right in their community if they want to do it. But you don't need that to do that if you feel it. The thing is, I don't think the people feel it. The reason they don't is because they haven't had to go through any suffering. People don't do things until they start to suffer it.
Right.
When it hits them
especially in the pocket,
individually, or physical, either way, or mentally, it doesn't touch them. Or that's not going to happen to me. Until it happens, then you don't have that emotion to rise, get you to rise up, to want to do something about it. We didn't have a choice back during that time. So consequently, we became emotional, involved in politics because of it. We felt that pain. And until you feel the pain, most people doesn't want to do anything.
Okay. Back to the media. You who had the newspaper, and all the information came out of the newspaper. In fact, I come from a time where we would cut coupons out of the Sunday paper. You know, how has social media changed your view of the media now?
Well, social media doesn't change my view. The reason why? It's up to the individuals, and it's up to where they come from. If they're not taught properly by their own parents of what they can and can't do and receive that discipline. Being in Asia taught me a whole lot. The discipline I got out of the martial arts, 40 years, but I was taught in Asia. And the discipline that is instilled in that teaches you a lot of things. You learn to honor and respect your elders. And if you listen to what they say, most kids today don't want to listen. They want to find out on their own. But by the time they find out, it's too late. So it takes the parents, it takes the neighborhood to address people to the point where they will come to understand, respect the person that's older than you because they probably know what they're talking about. Consequently, you're not going to get up there and just search out and look at misinformation and says, oh, I'm going to go with that. No, you're going to take your time and you're going to do a little research before you decide to draw a conclusion.
But not many people do that.
Exactly.
I mean, I fight with my kids about that, and they're in their 20s.
Exactly. What changes it?
I mean, you can only say so much until your kids investigate first, because the thing is that, in my opinion, it's so saturated, with these memes and these what they call short tubes and short videos. Mm-hmm. The internet is saturated in it that I've already learned. I'm just one person talking to them compared to thousands online, and it's fast.
Right, it's very fast.
So it's challenging.
One thing I tell my kids: if you're going to go up there and you're going to hear one statement from one person, and you have people just grab hold of that tail, that's not for you. What you do is that you don't read a half a book and then try to tell a full story. And that's what you're getting in the social media. And I tell my kids, watch out for that. Because I come out of writing, so I can. It's easier for me to be able to do that, and I bring it in from history.
Right.
That if you start to do that, and that's what a lot of people are doing right now, and I think it has to be explained in a simple way. Right now, I think we go too far as adults, trying to explain something that's difficult in a difficult way instead of a simple way, and that simple way is pretty much, 1 + 1 = 2, and not go around the 2 divided by 1 equals what? You're just extending the equation. Just be simple with it, and that is, do your research. Don't jump on the first thing you hear. Find out more about it before you respond to it. You have to be responsible for what comes out of your mouth because you can't put it back in.
Right. One of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I believe I called your wife for her birthday. Mm-hmm. And we started talking, and like we always do. And you said something that caught my attention. You said that this problem now reminds you of something that happened back then, mm-hmm. and that you have kind of like a solution, or what can be done to solve this. And I said, you know what? I want to know what it is, but I want to bring it in the show. So tell me.
If I knew what that was, I'll be president today. I have no clue how you're going to solve this except for having a backbone. And, one thing I learned in the martial arts, you establish that through hard work. I'm not saying go work and do sharecropping, but hard work and discipline, the wrist grab. You're going to get that imprint, but do you have the will to fight your way through that? If you can fight your way through that, it helps develop your character. And the more people that can develop the character, like these protesters are happening right now, I'm impressed with that because I'm starting to see character change. And it's not just one race. It's a culture of people of different races that are protesting by the millions. That's what's going to change the system. But if you don't have the backbone, you're just going to stand on the outside looking in. Whereas a person like myself, I'm on the inside looking out because I've been there. So I can feel it And I think what I'm seeing right now is a few people that have done their history, and they're all seeing what's happening in front of them, and it's affected them in their life, in their lifestyle, economically as well as mentally.
Right. So as time winds down, I want to ask you, what is next for you? What's your plan?
Well, I'm working on a piece called "But Life It Is."
But life it is.
But life it is, and it's a narration of poetry, but it's written in a state of a book, more like a monologue, a continuous monologue, and it tells you. You've read part of the calendar that I did called "Plight of the Black Man," and it tells the story from the beginning to where we are now, but in a personal way. And I know a lot of people have gone through those things, and those poems starts from the beginning, and by the time you get to the end, you realize that's your life, and this is the things that happen in your life. And I think it basically happened with everybody, but I'm going to write about it.
Okay. And when it comes out, how can we get a read, or as a book, or online?
It'll be audio as well as a written version.
Okay. Well,
I like audio because audio gives you the expression of what the words truly mean, versus when you read it, you can't get that expression. You get your expression of it. You can feel it in your heart the way you feel it.
Right.
But you don't feel it the way the author does. And I think audio works better. So I'll be doing it in both.
So when you're done, you let me know. We come back on the show and we talk about
absolutely
the monologue. I would love to talk about it.
Without a problem. And we're looking at somewhere in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So I'm excited about it. Really, if I can get to it, because I'm playing that reverse role. I'm retired and I stay home. My wife goes to work every day. I'm cooking and I'm taking care of everything. So I have to split that and if you understand writing, it's not like you can just get up and sit back down and keep the same thoughts. So it's difficult, but I'll get there.
I mean, I write, but not like that. I mean, sometimes I got to think about what I write nowadays. But yeah, I know what you mean. Well, Nimmond, it's been a pleasure having you here. A pleasure always conversating with you. I know this time at least we get to conversate in a different format.
Absolutely.
I've always enjoyed your opinion on things and the outlook you have ever since I met you. And I've known you for a while now. To my viewers, I definitely look forward to hear his monologue and see what's going on. And for the protest, peaceful, please. We don't need people to get harmed. I mean,
absolutely,
violence is never the answer.
Absolutely.
No matter what's out there. Also, we talked about social media. Yes, please always investigate, especially now with this AI going on. I mean, it's something else. My kids made a few AI videos of me walking around and stuff, and I was like, "Where'd you get that from?" But anyway, that's another show. Everyone, again, thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you for viewing this. We're on YouTube. Also, thank you, Miami Community Newspaper, for having us here, for allowing me to do this show. Thank you for the people that are here recording this. They take their time out to do this. I appreciate you. Appreciate everyone out there. Stay safe.